Hi everyone, this is Francisco, and in this quick short video, I think it's going to be short, hopefully it's going to be a quick short video. It's already 10:30 and I need to wake up early in the morning, so anyways, I'm going to do my best to cover everything for the majority of the time that I have right now. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. If for whatever reason I miss something, you guys can always ask AI Technology for its own inputs and advice regarding my conclusions and hypotheses in this case, since it will be past tense in the future. Once I upload it, it won't be a hypothesis anymore. It will be hypotheses, I think. Anyways, I could be wrong, but either way, I wanted to share something that could potentially save a lot of energy. Okay, because everyone's in the business of saving energy. Excuse me. Oh my god. Alright, so excuse me for that quick interruption. But anyways, oh yeah, let me get on with this. So it's like a new plant. Visual through glass, and verbally it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You guys may be wondering what the heck is this guy talking about, but this is what I'm referring to: a plant that's visible through glass, because you guys can clearly see the root system and the plant above it, similar to these over here, or like this one. So this is the idea here with this example of a plant, and all the plants behave the same. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's super hot outside, the plant does not wither and die that easily, especially if we are considering a cactus or cacti type of plant or species of cacti. Some of these cacti can be exposed to 3-degree digit weather in the summer. Alright, out there where there is no water, in the desert. So anyways, I had an idea, because I was thinking, how is it that these fragile little leaves don't wither and die? And how is it that they're like cool to the touch. If you people ever like touch a blade of grass, it's somewhat cool. But if you touch like a concrete or metal, it will even burn you. And of course, it has a lot to do with the cognitivity, which is the conductivity or whatever, like electricity. There's the absorption, I think that's how you say the word, absorption or whatever of energy or heat or cold, whether it's cold or hot. That's what I'm referring to. So that it has a lot to do with that as well. Like, so a lot of that could dictate the differences. Okay, like if you touch a piece of wood as opposed to a piece of metal, or if you were to touch gold, like a gold bar, it will probably burn the shit out of you, especially with 3-degree digit weather outside, as opposed to a piece of wood, because it takes longer for the energy to get transferred to the body or whatever. Okay, so there's a lot of differences to consider and to keep in mind. But what I was thinking was to look at each little thing, like each little stem or whatever, like a tube. One long tube, and filling that tube with water. And from what I've learned over the years is that whatever the height of the tree is or the plant is, the root system is double that in size underneath the ground. Now, I don't know if that's true for each and every single plant or tree. Okay, so I could be wrong, but that's what I mean by saving energy practically for free. Okay, it would just be a matter of putting this to the test, and if it works, you people can actually install these things inside buildings, inside of homes, like through the very center of a home, or the four corners of a home, like the perimeter, the exterior, or even interior. I don't really know, whatever is most effective. Okay, and then figuring that sweet spot. And once you people figure out that sweet spot educationally, then you people can actually begin to install these in homes for people to not spend, so much money on, electricity costs and running AC units and stuff like that, as well as the carbon emissions and stuff like that. Because powering, having a having a like an AC unit or other electrical device running continuously could have some effects or impacts to nature, to Mother Earth. But if you guys can picture or visualize, some form of tube, like kind of like a what are they called? Electricity post. If you guys think of an electricity post, it sticks up from the ground and is exposed to the top. It sticks out to the top. So that's the idea. So like, if you guys can feel the very center of these well, like theoretically speaking, like if this idea was conceptualized and acted upon, then technically you people can fill these tubes with water, but somehow they would have to be deep down in the ground for this to work. Now I could be wrong, but I was just thinking of a plant, and I was thinking, how is it that these delicate little leaves don't burn out and wither and die? And it's because they're filled with water and other types of like gels, kind of like a cactus. And I could look it up online. What is a cactus mostly composed of? Okay. So it says, in fact, some sources indicate that 90% of a cactus body is designed for moisture storage. It says the cactus is mostly composed of water storing tissues, specifically specialized ground tissue, which is primarily made up of parenchyma cells. So if you guys can scientifically mass produce these things, if it's possible, then you guys can actually add that in these tubes to provide free coolants per se. And and if you guys test them in the summer and you guys can have a building stay cool during the summer, then that would be great. But also experimenting in the colder environment as well. Now I don't know if the tube will produce more colder temperatures or not. So that would have to be tested, obviously, by some type of professionals out there that will be able to, you know, to determine if heat will even be produced or not. But I know that husky dogs, husky dogs, burrowing inside snow, or is it burrowing? Well, when the dogs go like in the snow, and they do this like naturally, by instinct. If they are left out there in the snow, they'll actually like burrow themselves. They'll hide or cover themselves inside the snow. So let me see, husky dog. Husky dog inside of snow. Yeah, and I remember, witnessing this in a movie where there was like a sled like this one, and the dogs were inside the snow. It might have been the Sniper movie. It's called Sniper or something like that. I could be wrong. But yeah, they love it. They love being inside the snow. It doesn't bother them. I think this is one. Husky refers to sleep in snow during blizzard. You see that? So there may be some type of scientific explanation for this type of strange behavior from these dogs, and most likely it will solve a lot of the scientific questions that you people may have out there concerning why dogs do this, or why dogs behave in this strange behavior type of way. But it could in fact later on prove to have some type of scientific meaning behind it. It may prove that the ground underneath is more warmer than it is above it. And I just had this idea in my mind for a couple of days now, and it kept on resurfacing so in my mind. So I just wanted to share my own words concerning this idea, and whether it will work or not, I honestly don't know. But if we all study a plant, plants, they're mostly composed of water, and some of them require direct sunlight, like cacti, like cactuses. So, you know, like for instance, if I was left out there in the middle of the desert, standing there, I, like any human, would dehydrate and burn and die from the sun's exposure. Okay? So there may be some explanation, and I think that the root system could actually tell us more than we think or thought before. So I think that this idea is worthy of scientific research and development, especially if it proves to be true. And it doesn't take much. It'll just be a matter of, inserting a tube deep down in the ground, covering it up and filling it with water, capping it off, and leaving it there. And if it could save all of you money on, electricity bill, it can save you people money. That's otherwise, constantly taking from your profits, from your proceeds or whatever. Then this may be a solution for all of you. Maybe long term, it could prove to pan out, where this device that I'm explaining to all of you will pay for itself, and the money that you guys would otherwise spend on these constant electricity bills or energy consumption, like losses, eventually it'll be like solar panels, where you guys won't have to pay anything, but the solar panels will actually begin to pay you, because you guys will be producing electricity for these power companies or whatever. So yeah, I think that if it proves to work, it could bring and introduce cooler temperatures throughout the world, especially in areas where it's very, very hot, and it may help like other species of animals and insects and even plants to grow better, because of the energy that it will collect, that won't get distributed evenly throughout the ground and burn other sensitive plants or herbs or whatever around it, similar to a tree that's planted by a river. It provides shade for other smaller plants, and for these cactuses as well. There's a certain time where it casts a shadow throughout the day, which could help certain types of plants to thrive in that environment. Similar to the background here, you guys can see some plants over here. There's some cacti, and then there's some plants around it. Kind of like that. But I don't know. I really don't know if this will work or not, so don't take my word for it. This is just some crazy idea that I came up with. And it just kind of tripped me out how these plants don't die. And remember that the temperatures, they reach 3-digit degree weather. So sometimes it's like 100 degrees, sometimes it's 120 degrees, and these plants are fine. And like this this research or information that Google provided me with, it says that the cactus is mostly composed of water storing tissues. So that's the key word right there. Water storing. Okay? This water within the tubes won't be able to escape. It won't be able to go anywhere, especially if these tubes are solid metal, solid iron, or something like that. Something of that nature. Even if it's plastic or some other type of material. So, I mean, you guys would have to test different types of materials to evaluate which works better and which material or elements suck. And also mass producing this type of chemical, or adding some type of coolant system within the tube, which could determine whether it stays cooler or not. So imagine a bunch of like sheds out in the desert with one of these tubes from going from the ground all the way to the top, in the very center of it, and then going in there, or having some type of technology reading the temperature and then collecting data. And I don't know if a smaller tube will work as effectively as a larger tube, or I don't know if a larger tube will work more effectively than a smaller tube. So all that would have to be calculated over time to improve it, to make it better, and to keep any structure and every single structure cool at all times. But like I said, I think the key thing as well to look into is how the roots are buried deep down into the soil, Okay. Like a tree root system of a mustard seed tree. You know, because in the Bible says that the mustard seed is like one of the biggest trees in the world or whatever. Yeah, it says the mustard seed tree, as described in biblical parables, is often associated with a robust and deep taproot system. Fucking mosquitoes. Despite its small seed origin, this taproot allows the tree to access water. It allows it to access water deep within the soil, enable it to grow large and strong even in drier climates. While the tree can grow quite large, its root system is not exceptionally wide, unlike some other trees. So so you guys would have to dive deeper, like this says here, dive deeper in AI mode. You guys would really need to dive deeper into this stuff to really understand this logic and to perfect it. Okay, because perfecting it is the key thing here. Okay, it's not debunking the idea, it's all about improving upon the idea. And if you guys can get a team or a separate division that can focus on this stuff, 24/7, then I think that there's a lot to study and a lot to learn from this logic alone. So yeah, I mean, so according to this, the roots are deep enough to touch or have access to water. Okay, so that's also something to keep in mind. So maybe this device or whatever would have to have contact with underground water for it to work effectively. Okay, so don't think that this idea is going to work if you people install a 50-foot tube and only allowing it to stick out like 20 feet and it's only like 30 feet underground. It may require more than that. Okay, so this is not for people that are broke. This is for scientific research and development, and if it proves to work, then these type of devices could be installed in homes, residential homes, and commercial businesses at an affordable price. And if they could eliminate your guys' AC units and coolants, then we're talking business. And this idea honestly is inspired by trees and plants and herbs, and just by looking at this stuff and understanding some basic principles. Okay? So it's straightforward, it's not rocket science. Okay? Now, I don't know if this will work or not, but I think that with the right people, the right team, I think you guys could actually make something happen. And you guys could actually have greenhouses even in the desert. You know? Because it will stay so cold within the greenhouse, while everything else around it is super fucking hot. And there's also like other factors to consider, like whether the tube is exposed to the outside elements or whether the tube is within a structure and it's going through the structure vertically, sticking out above it and obviously going underneath it, because of the wind gusts, okay, which could also dictate and determine the temperature differences of these devices. Okay, so it's obvious. It's common sense. What I'm saying is straightforward. It's like if you guys build two of them, one without a housing protector to prevent the wind from either cooling it down or causing it to get hotter, as opposed to one that's within a structure that has some type of temperature storing, like a housing that will retain that moisture, not the moisture, but the temperature. It's kind of like a thermo, a tumbler thermo. If I add ice in here, which I do, drinking cold water, so obviously if I place this in direct sunlight with the lid closed, it's going to stay cold and the ice won't melt. Okay, but if I leave the lid off, the ice may melt. And then, as opposed to me leaving a cup with water, the cup of water most likely is going to get super, super hot. So there's different ways to go about it. And it's all about figuring that out, figuring out those mysteries, to perfect these systems, because people are constantly spending money on AC and heating devices. Whether they're spending money on heating, devices. They're spending money on firewood, and a bunch of other stuff. So like I said, this is for scientific research and development. So I don't encourage anyone that doesn't have any money to do this on their own. What I'm referring to is having like the government do it, where it could be 100% sponsored and supported, so that they can get the support of the government to sustain this, whether it works or not, until it gets perfected. Okay, is similar to a lot of companies out there that get supported whether they are successful or not. Like just like what is that called? Freaking, what is that? There's fusion, like fusion reactors. There's a lot of money that gets poured into this scientific research and development, and before, in the early stages, these companies were actually losing money and energy, and I'm talking a lot of money and energy. But now, a lot of that stuff has been perfected. Okay, so yeah, I would like to see the same idea with this idea, the same applied principles that are applied to these existing companies in this idea, to help future generations to stay cold and warm all year out, all year long, or whatever. All through the fucking year. Year in and year out. Year in and year out. Year in and year out. Without paying one single fucking penny. Unless it gets damaged or something. Fuck. Mosquitoes. So I swear to God, every time I start recording a fucking goddamn video, these mosquitoes just go behind my back and start fucking sucking my blood out. Or they start fucking landing on my hair. But anyways, I have to go to bed. So I hope you guys, get the drift and take things from here on out.